Hello, and welcome to the Say Yes Movement podcast with Heather and John, where we help you say yes to personal and professional growth. Good morning, Heather. How are you doing today?
I am doing amazing, John. It is Friday, the day that we focus on our week, what has happened, the impact we've made, where we are in the world, all of the good stuff. John, what are you celebrating today?
Yeah, no, listen, I'm celebrating again consistency. I know it's one of those things I bring up quite a bit, but I have been consistently weight training and incorporating that into my workouts, which I'm going to admit that there are moments where it's like, oh man, this is tough. And, your body feels sore for a day or two or three. And yeah, I'm like, I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to keep going back to it. One of the things I committed to this month was really just incorporating a lot more of that, a lot more strength training, because I want to get faster. I want to get stronger. When I get into the next triathlon season, I want to feel at my best. So that work starts now. And I'm just going to keep moving forward with that. So really good stuff. What about yourself, Heather? What are you celebrating this week?
I am celebrating adventure and curiosity and getting lost. And I say that because when I travel, I always have a rule that, you know what? You're going to get lost along the way somewhere. You're going to be in surroundings that you don't know. And at some point, I reframed getting lost as being something scary to something that is just something that's going to happen. And that reframe looks like this. Oh, when I get lost, yay, that's so exciting because now I have a chance to be found. And isn't that a great metaphor for both adventure and travel, but also for life? Sometimes we feel lost and then we find our way. So I am celebrating going on an adventure and getting ready to get lost and also find my way. So that is what I am celebrating this week. And for any of our listeners out there, we love to celebrate with you. So put in the comments what you're celebrating this week. We want to celebrate with you. So John, what's been coming up for you? What would you like to talk about today?
Yeah, I like the topic of getting lost and, getting lost, just like you said, one of the things, recently I was in Phoenix. It wasn't that long ago. And, I got lost. And because I was exploring, I was going for my walks in the morning. And I got lost, I think, in the wrong part of town. So
Oh,
I was like,
yes.
all right, we're going to hustle. We're going to get back. But you know what? It was okay. Everything was good. Nothing happened. But getting lost, to me, and then, we use this metaphorically, getting lost in yourself and who you are helps you discover who you are. Who am I is, the big thing, the big topic, or the big question that I keep asking myself. And it's so interesting because depending on the moment in time, I am a different version of myself, right?
Yes.
And I think about who was I in my early 20s. Last night, a couple of nights ago, we were with friends and we were talking about the 80s and 90s for those of us that remember it. For those of you that, it's just a picture video that you see on television or on your little screen, it was a really, really interesting time. And, going back and realizing who I was back then is very different from who I am today. And I think even about the next 10 years, who am I going to become is very different than who I am right now. Because we're always transforming, we're always changing. Even though you think you might be standing still and not going through that mental, physical transformation, you're always changing, right? They say the cells in your bodies renew or refresh every 7 years. I think it's every 7 years. So technically, you're a new person every 7 years.
Well, and John, you're bringing up a good point, and we see some people that seem to be living in the past, and there's lots of nostalgia. So I don't want anybody to take away that nostalgia. I love listening to older music. I can sing all the songs. It immediately brings me and transports me back to different places. But there's also the same thing for the future. And, I was driving my car just yesterday and I was singing, I was listening to a song and it's called Dear Me. And the lyrics are, Dear Me, I'm writing from I'm contacting you from the future and you're doing okay. And I was like, oh man, that's just such powerful music. And it's such powerful lyrics that you're doing okay. And sometimes we need that message from ourselves. Sometimes we look for the external environment to say you're doing okay, but what if we told ourselves that? Who would we be if we were our own cheerleaders all the time, as opposed to thinking, oh, I wish I was young again, I wish I could move the way I did before. And me and you both know that those are just stories that you're telling, because we have tons of examples where you can be as strong as you want to be right now today with some new decisions about who you want to be right now.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because the one thing that showed up for me as you were saying that is sometimes even forgiving yourself now for what happened before or happened in the past, or you're just being okay with happen. I'm losing my words here, but what I want to get to, one of the processes that we do in NLP is we kind of walk through a timeline into our past. And we find that moment where we still might be stuck, right? We find that moment where we're not moving forward because we're holding on to something.
Mm-hmm.
And what I love about this process, it gives us an opportunity to step back and reframe what happens. We talk about, taking the lesson, moving forward, taking the lesson, moving forward. Anything that's ever happened to us in the past is, it's a lesson, it kind of teaches us the next step or what not to do going forward. So we're doing it right. And, having that opportunity, as we step into our future, yes, we can create who we are from there, but we can also go back and say, you know what, you made a bad decision at one point in your life, and it's okay because that's all you knew at the time.
You made
Right?
the best decision with the resources and the information you had at the time. Now, 5 minutes later, you might have more information and you could make a different decision. But at that moment, and give yourself grace, everyone makes the right decision based on what they know and what they have in front of them. And, if you're going through a moment in time right now that it's a tough decision and you're not sure what to do, I want you to just remember that you have within you the power to make the best decision for your future self. Don't make it for your past self. Your past self doesn't need that anymore, but your future self needs you to make the best decision that's going to get you the best life and the best for you. The first person that you want to honor in any decision is yourself. And then you want to honor the rest, because if you take care of yourself, it's kind of like that oxygen mask on first, then you will be the most powerful version of you for your future. And, take that lesson and move forward, but don't reframe it as you're not good enough or you're not powerful or you are, crumbling at those decisions. It's just what happened. And what is going to happen next is what you decide. You have a choice. I often coach clients sometimes who are going through breakups in relationships. And, at my stage in life and your stage in life, John, we've had that. And I was previously married. And one of the things I remember is I hung on to holding on to things that I didn't want, but my emotional connection to them made me have these decisions that were not serving my future. They were serving my past. And I share that story, just let it go, because material items or, money, you'll find it. It'll find you, but only if you're at the right frequency to let it find you. And so take that lesson and move it forward, and then share that lesson with others, because, the best part about life is someone somewhere in your circle has gone through or had something similar that they have to also solve. And just share your story, your vulnerability, your pain points, the tears that you might have cried. Those are all lessons learned. But then how do you honor your future self? So, John, what's another process that you use to really look into the future so that you're making decisions today that are for your future?
Oh, well, that's a good question. Wow. Okay. It kind of got me on the spot. Thank you, Heather. Appreciate that. No, there's a variety of different tools. One of and actually I did this just not too long ago, but just kind of using visualization as a tool, right? And I used it in a really simple way. I just wanted to kind of visualize what my day was going to look like. So what I did in the morning, first thing, and I took 5 minutes and just kind of visualized all the different activities I wanted to get through, all the things I wanted to complete and get done. And when I got to the end of the day, everything that I had visualized earlier happened. And it made it easier, right? Because one of the things that we talk about, and actually people ask me all the time, how do you stay motivated? How do you get out there? How do you do your thing? Sometimes I see it before it happens. And, there's a variety of
Yes.
different activities where even recently I did a ride with my team, Team Coraggio. We rode for the Blue Jeans Foundation. And we did this ride from in Niagara region, so Niagara on the Lake. We rode through Niagara Falls. It was beautiful, stunning, beautiful day. But these guys, they pushed me in a way that I had never seen before, right? So
Ooh.
my goal was just to keep up with these, because they asked us before we got started, what's your speed? How quick can you ride? And they gave us, 25 to 26, 26 to 29 kilometers per hour and 30 plus. So my goal, and I visualized it ahead of time, I want to be in that second group because I know that's the group that's really pushing me 26 plus. And, we got to the end of the ride and I looked at, I'm always tracking, right? Like one of the things I do too is, to understand where you're headed, you have to know where you've been so you can keep improving that. So I use an app called Strava. I looked down at my Strava and my average kilometer was the fastest I'd ever done. Actually, this whole year in 2020,
Wow.
fastest time. I felt like I was going to lose a lung at one point, but I'm here to talk about it, so I've recovered from it. But it was really just pushing yourself and visualizing that to say, you know what, I can keep up. I can be with these cyclists who, when I think about 10 years ago, there's no way I'm going to be able to like ride 27 on average. Man, these guys were on flats and we were going 40 kilometers an hour, right? We talked about the power of the Peloton. And when you're sucked in the Peloton, the Peloton kind of helps carry you forward. But we were cruising at 40 kilometers an hour on these flats. And I'm like, what? Like, I've never done that before.
Wow.
It was such an amazing moment to say, you know what? Yeah, I can, right? I saw it. I did. And here I am. And now it's like, okay, how much faster can I go? What's the next step? Where do I go next, right?
John, you are telling a story that encapsulates our word for the year beautifully, which is one of the points of what we're talking about. You must believe. So that visualization, but visualization not at being the same, but visualization of I'm going to push myself a little bit further, a little bit out of my comfort zone. Sounds like a lot out of the comfort zone for you. And I'm going to do things that I've never done before. And I'm also going to celebrate at the end. And, any kind of race or charity event has that celebration component. And that's a success formula. Do you believe? Are you taking the action? And then are you celebrating at the end? So anything you need to do, you do not have to wait till there's a race or a charity event. If you have the formula of, all right, what is it that I want to accomplish? That's the belief side. What action am I going to take? That's the movement. And then what am I going to do and celebrate at the end? And those 3 steps for anything you want to do is pretty incredible. And John, I'll take it down to the simplest thing. This morning I got up and I planned my day, and I planned my day with the intent of what I'm going to accomplish. And sort of my action list is a little bit bigger than it normally would be right now. And I could choose to say, wow, that's going to overwhelm me. Instead, I chose to see what and experience how I'm going to feel at the end of the day. So I spent about 2 minutes closing my eyes and visualizing how am I going to feel at the end of the day. Now, it's not the end of the day yet, but I already feel energized because my brain has seen the end, and I'm going to celebrate tonight when I finish my action plan. But it really is visualizing right in the moment, and you can just visualize for that same day.
Yeah. Well, and the part I love about this, right, is sometimes you have to like just not think about too far ahead, right? Like, yes, you got to be thinking about the future and what you want, but what I realized, and actually what I'm hearing through you right now is, just being in the moment. Okay, this is, so, as a master NLP practitioner, one of the things they teach us, see what you want to do and then just step into it and be, right? Like be in that moment, be present to it. And just let it happen. Don't think about the end of the day. Just think about the activity that you're in right now. And going back to the cycling example, I didn't see myself anywhere else except right there in the
Right
moment
there.
with all these people. Like I was just there, and it was every once in a while, these thoughts crept into my head. It's like, oh, maybe I'll just ease off a little bit. But if I knew I did that, if I knew I was going to just ease off, it would have just crushed me. Like it would have taken me forever to catch up. I wouldn't have been able to catch up.
You wouldn't have been able to catch
I
up.
wouldn't have been able to. So I'm like, okay, what do I need to do? Just breathe, right? And what do I need to do? Just, keep moving my legs, no matter how tired how tired they feel. Just keep going. And, just like you today, you're going to go through your list. It's like, okay, I just need to do this right now. Don't worry about the next task until you're done the task that you're done.
Well, and here's as I look ahead to my action items for the next few days, and like I said, it's a little bit heavier than I would normally allow myself to even say yes to, but this is where I'm at, and I've made some choices, and I remember looking at it, I was overwhelmed. I was really stressed about it, and I had to flip the switch on myself, and I looked at the list, and I said, wow, only a superwoman could do this. And right away, as soon as I said that, I'm like shoulders back, chin up. I'm like, oh, a superwoman is going to get this done. And so as I look at what I'm going to accomplish when I'm finished, when I'm on the other side of this, oh, superwoman signed up for this. You go, girl. And so I became my own cheerleader. And now the anxiety and stress of not getting it done doesn't exist because Superwoman doesn't complain. Superwoman she puts her cape on, she just makes it happen. And so I had to activate an alter ego in order to, and the alter ego is still me, but it's me being accomplished and feeling accomplished. And it's being and feeling. It's both things at the same time. And that's a clear distinction from feeling anxious or disbelief or wearing myself down. And so the word believe, John, this is our word for the year, and it shows up in everything we do, including my today list of actions that need to happen.
Yes, I'm just going back to believe and that word. It reminds me of the quote I just read recently, and I just want to share it with all of you. It says, the quality of your life is determined by the stories you tell yourself about yourself. Ooh, I know. So Hugh Cumberford, he's our NLP trainer. I think he's one of the best NLP trainers in Canada. That line comes from him because we are constantly telling ourselves, we could have started off the day with, it's just another day. We're just going to take it easy and we just kind of get through to the end of the day. It's like, no, you're a superwoman. I'm going to go lift some strength. I'm going to go do some weights because, somebody who does that doesn't take breaks, right? Unless they're hurt, it's a little different. But you just keep going, right? And sometimes the thought of just keep going. You're gonna be okay. Just keep going, right? And I love it because it's such a simple thing, right? And I think about Jesse Itzler, who's one of my favorite authors. He wrote the book Training with the Navy SEAL. And he's like, this is, one of the mantras he has as he's going through these activities. This is easy. This is fun. Let's just go get it done. Is one of the things he does as he's doing these ultra marathons, which are 100 miles.
I love that. This is easy. This is fun. Let's go get it done. Adopting that. In fact, I think that's the call to action, John. So if for our listeners out there, this weekend, as you go into today, this is easy. This is fun. Let's get it done. Oh, this is going to actually empower me to get my list done. So you just gave me like that little hit of caffeine to get the day without the caffeine hit. This is going to be good. So for our listeners, your call to action. What is the alter ego, that thought process that you need to do to activate your best life in the next 24 hours? And we say 24 hours because taking action now gets you moving forward. And that mantra is powerful. So write that down right now. Keep looking at it throughout the next 24 hours. And believe me, you'll be able to feel accomplished by the end of those 24 hours and then start the next 24.
Yeah, perfect. Well, thank you, Heather. Great call to action. This is easy. This is fun. Let's just go get it done. Yeah, I'm going to be using that. I do. You know what? Actually, I do use it, right? Especially as I'm going through like difficult things. This is easy. This is fun. Let's just go get it done. Thank you. Thank you for that. And thank you for that call to action. For everybody who's listening to the podcast, thank you for tuning in and listening. And just remember, when you shift your mindset, you shift your life. Wishing you all a great one. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.